Yeah, this is Arielle.
This is Brendan. We are co-founders of the Pearling Principle, which is an interdisciplinary dance and arts collective that we founded in 2016-ish
In New York City.
in New York City, with the possibility of expanding globally, but we're based in New York City. The concept of pearling is that we are grains of sand going into the oyster of the environment, and we're getting disruptive. We're dancing in places that aren't necessarily intended to have that sort of activity.
The idea is to make a positive impact on the environment. So you go in, you maybe charm them with a little social dancing, then get a little inspirational, and then build community and life and energy where there wasn't one before.
Whenever we dance, we give people permission to dance themselves. A lot of times it's just not part of American culture anymore, and it's not something that people think of doing, or if they do, they think of it in terms of, oh, I wish I could go to a dance event or something like that. And so we said, why don't we live our own Fred Astaire movie? And once we do, we can give people the idea that they can choose their own adventure, and a lot of times they do. So when we're creating this pearl of art in an environment that wasn't designed for it, the pearl grows because other people will get up and start dancing and add to that pearl.
And it started quite disruptive because there was a cabaret law in New York banning dancing for like 80 years. We actually had to go to City Hall to speak on it before the politicians decided that they had better things to do than to regulate dancing.
Yes, we testified as to the necessity of allowing dance as part of cultural growth, but also as part of artistic growth. And there are certain dance forms that are part of the American heritage of developing culture organically, and even other forms too. They're not meant to be test tube babies that were created only in the studio and only danced in the studio or on stage. And so if you allow something to develop organically wherever it happens to be inspired, then you can get the cross-pollination between live music and art, in between the artists and the environment, because everything we're doing is site-specific. And so as we improvise, we are taking into account all of the factors. Whoever's in the room, the energy that's in the room, not just the structure. You got a lot of moving targets. You're not going to have that same sort of influence to create when you're in the studio.
So we encourage everybody to get out and do some public dancing, get fusion out there in front of people, and kind of show the world that you can connect with someone in a fun and engaging and healthy way.
We also don't always need to have music. And I know this is a controversial point for a lot of people, but I argue, what happens when the sound goes down and people keep dancing? I defy you to tell me that I am not dancing just because there's not music playing. What about people who are hard of hearing or deaf? Are they not able to dance because dance is defined by having music playing? I think that's ridiculous.
Two things that I remember about pearling that really stand out is when we're walking down the street and we hear maybe some Latin music coming from some guys sitting in some park benches on the sidewalk.
Or
right?
Coming from their cars as they're at a red light.
And we can't help ourselves. We start dancing, and we looked over, and they're fixed on us because you can tell they might be older now, but they're dancers, and they're watching us with dancers' eyes, and they're getting it. And they're so happy that we can connect with their music. And it really creates a bond that you would normally just miss in your day.
There is no such thing as undanceable music. Because with fusion, you have the power of choice to choose how you interpret that and how you respond to it. So if it's too fast, dance the whole notes, dance the half notes. If it's non-rhythmic or something doesn't resonate with you, find a layer of the music that does resonate with you. Or make fun of it. You can dance a satirical dance. You can do a parody. I will say that fusion is by far the art form that has broadened me the most, because it's helped me to appreciate all sorts of different music styles that I would not normally listen to, that I would be annoyed by having that coming at me in an environment where I have no control over it. But Brendan's favorite quote, my favorite quote of Brendan's is, better dance to than listen to. And that holds true 90% of the time I'm out in the world. And floating mosaic, which is our signature at our Pearl Dive. I don't know if you guys have talked about that at all, but we like to have, in the middle of the night when everyone is there, we like to have a group dance where you float in and out of partnerships throughout the song, and everyone is connected together in a large chain. We call it floating mosaic because it is a very artistic endeavor, and we want people to think of themselves as pieces of this larger, big picture of art that we're creating together.
Connected and artful.
And gentle, and everyone is obliged to listen to each other. Partnering is, after all, more of a spectrum experience than a binary experience. So, for instance, lead and follow dynamics. Lead and follow are not two sides of a coin. They are a spectrum. They are endpoints. And so when you are listening at least 20% all of the time, you keep within those extremes, 20% listening or more, you're always going to have a better connection.
You mentioned somehow giving people permission, reminding them that they can still dance. And that kind of happens in the floating mosaics because we get people who feel like they don't know any moves to jump in and be creative. We have people who feel like they can't lead, end up being inspirational and creating something new. And then we have a lot of people who can't follow a lick to a normal song, but you put them in that mosaic and they're just connecting so well. It's a fantastic artistic moment and exercise we'd love to share with the Boston scene.
Indeed. And it's a good way to do a sort of get to know you, where you get to dance with people that you wouldn't have had a chance to or didn't find in the room already, and then you can spend a few moments with them and flow through, and you're like, oh hi, I'm encountering someone new, and then try to remember to come back to them.
I'm reminded of a Martha Graham quote that I got by way of you guys. Do you want to? You know the one.
Which one?
Dance is nonverbal communication.
Sure. That is absolutely true. And we teach our workshop participants to have many dialects to switch between, because each person is going to find their own comfort level in a different dialect. And so if you learn the commonalities, all of the common phrases and structures, then you can easily be able to pick up and get the gist of someone else's dialogue who has a different background than yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another one I've heard from Martha that may or may not be true is someone came up to her and said, I don't understand that dance at all. And she was like, listen, if I had the words to say it, I wouldn't have to dance it.
So Martha Graham said, no artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction whatever at any time. There is only a queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than others. So, I would say with fusion dancing, that's oftentimes true for me, but we also have the option of satisfaction and happiness and contentment, whether we're role-playing that or whether we're actually experiencing it.
Would have thought.
Did we just one-up Martha Graham? Cool.
And Arielle, what is your lesson about coming up on June 3rd?
All right. Well, we'd like to teach the full spectrum of connections that you can use to have more creative and more fun and more connected dances. And we find that with our diverse backgrounds, we've had to use this approach to create things that you usually wouldn't see on the dance floor. It's a lot of fun, and it uses all these different channels and different ways of connecting and relationships to use all the social dance backgrounds that you have to connect with just about anybody.
We like to teach from the inside out rather than the outside in. A lot of fusion classes will focus on giving you a few bits of material from this style of dance and a few bits of material from that style of dance, and then putting them together. That's wonderful. But our approach is the opposite, where we find the underlying commonalities and the elements of mechanics of connection and philosophies of dance that are going to be more useful because they're more universal. So how do you build turns? How do you build reading each other's motions? How do you communicate? All of those things are elemental, and if you understand those, then you can go and add more material and build out from there much more easily.
I got a two-parter for you. Answer as much or as little as you like. Favorite moments or most standout moments of yours in a class, like could be a class that you ran, could be a class that you took. The other part of that, why do you teach?
I think for me, there are two favorite parts of teaching. One is when you help somebody to slowly build and achieve something, and they finally get there, and they have that light bulb moment where, aha, it clicks, and their body understands it, and their mind understands it, and they can stop thinking about it and just do it. I love when that happens. I love watching it happen. I love feeling it happen if I'm the one dancing with them. The other moment is when they become autodidactic and they start figuring things out without my having to tell them. I've had that happen both in the workshops and then later at social dances where I'm dancing with them, and all of a sudden we're doing some sort of very advanced step, and I'm leading it. I'm teaching them in the nonverbal language in a way, and they're responding and understanding it and executing. And it's really, really rewarding to be able to see that I've given them wings and they're flying, sometimes literally.
Hey, so a sense of achievement from helping people fulfill their goals, find their confidence.
For me, I really enjoy when I give people permission to be still with someone. It's kind of ironic in a dance class, but when they get there, to be able to just listen and be in someone's presence, then the dance can progress from there.
Yeah.
In the coolest ways, most fusion-y ways.
Yeah.
And I think I teach having seen a lot of wonderful dancers through the years. I'm reminded of Frank Manning and Dawn Hampton. And Frankie was just he would share the joy of sharing the joy of dance. Very welcoming, always swinging. And Dawn also would do that, and she would always remain focused on teaching people to swing rather than to swing dance, because you can swing dance without swinging, and that's not the best kind of swing dancing. And so for us, I would say I enjoy teaching people to fuse instead of just fusion dancing, because you can fusion dance all night long in isolation from yourself or from other people, but we'd rather them just concentrate on connecting.
Wow.
I remember the first moment when I get to dance with someone who says, oh, I don't know how to dance. I've never danced. I don't know what I'm doing. And I say, come with me. And I lead them, usually. They follow. 99% of the time, they can follow. I said, we're already dancing. We are speaking this language. You are understanding it.
And we do that out purling as well.
Yeah, we do that with perfect strangers on the street or at a restaurant. They may be sober, they may be drunk, they may be...
We get old couples to dance with each other when it's been years, and it's lovely.
We are obliterating the lines, the demarcations that are artificial between concert dance and folk dance, social dance, and performative dance. Because fusion is like a quadrant. Think of it like a matrix. You have social dance, and you have concert dance, and you have fine art, and you have folk art. If you take that as a gradient, you can plot all of the different dances somewhere on that, and they may take up more room on the matrix or less room on the matrix. For instance, let's take ballet, which is highly refined and generally on the stage, but it's not a dot. It is a bit of an oblong because a lot of people will take class and never perform, and it's the social aspect of taking the class that draws them there, as well as the art form and the exercise. On the other hand, let's say you have clogging, which is an entirely folk, social folk happening that is just something that organically evolved at a barn dance or whatever.
Phenomenon.
And a good time.
And a good time, right. So you can take elements and spirits of that and move between them. You can have moments of each of those because fusion is the entire matrix. So you have all of that to explore. And you'll find different people will have their home base in different quadrants and then like to have bits of exploration in different directions. So if you think of it as we're just coming together and we're still all playing in the same box, you can much more easily find an artistic point of connection as well as a physical point of connection.
We're also focused on the future of fusion, which itself is pushing the boundaries of partner dance.
It's always evolving.
But, you know, we find there's a lot that can be improved in the way people switch, lead, and follow. There's a lot of disconnect that happens when you switch roles. So we're really strongly focused on getting people to connect better in that transition. We can do better as a scene. And we can also connect better through our torsos. Coming out of the pandemic, we lost a lot of good micro movement and inflection and in close embrace. And we'd love to see the community be able to embrace that embrace as well.
And also to take that, not just in close embrace, but to take all the isolations out to open position, because it can also be something that's part of the visual channel connection, something that's enjoyable to watch. This is part of the spectrum between concert dance and social dancing is you are performing for your partner or partner, yes? And whatever you do, they're going to be watching and responding to that. They're going to be feeling and responding to that. They're going to be listening and responding to that. If you stomp your foot and you add an audio element to it, or you do claps or body slaps, that's something that's possible.
We'd like our multi-partner dances to be just as well connected as the duos. And so they're not just a chance for some chaos, but some real beautiful moments.
And it takes a lot of finesse. We like to teach the fluidity of listening and listening and speaking at the same time. So when you have, let's say, a trio, you have the possibility of having one follow and two leads, two follows, one lead, one follow, one switch, and flowing through all of those roles. So the key is listening and responding and taking your time, choosing your moment.
So in the future, we'd love to see the fusion scenes be able to get out in public, share their dance with other people, and we'd love for us to be able to share that with Boston.
Can't wait to see you soon.